Let me ask you a question. What's this? No, this is not a sandal. This is a flip-flop. And more importantly, it's a broken flip-flop. You all have been there. You're out there doing construction work or cutting down a tree or running heavy machinery in your inappropriately casual open-toed footwear, and you bend your toes or you get it caught underneath a pedal, and maybe you hurt yourself in the process, but you pull out the thongs from the flip-flop. And unfortunately, even though this is the footwear for all occasions, you cannot buy it year-round. And so if you break your flip-flop in the wintertime, there's nothing you can do. Unless you own a 3D printer. After years and years of spending $1, maybe $1.50 on flip-flops, which is about how much they should cost, and then having them break 3 months, 4 months later, in the middle of the season where I could no longer purchase appropriate flip-flops, I finally decided to buy myself a 3D printer. This is the Creality 10S Pro version 2. And it costs about $626 right now on Amazon. What a deal! 3D printers are becoming very inexpensive. There are a lot of models out there, so they're easy to get. And the thing that you got to know, though, is they're not easy to use. Not yet. Really, if you're going to get involved in 3D printing, you're getting involved in a bit of a hobby. So, if you have reasons to do rapid prototyping, or if you have reasons to be involved in the hobby, or if you have a lot of broken flip-flops, then you might want to invest in one. Otherwise, if you're just a regular everyday consumer user, you probably don't. Because the thing is that they're still what I call dumb CNC machines. What a CNC machine is a machine that uses the industrial code. It's called NC code for industrial robots have used since the 1970s, and that's what these guys run off of. So basically, the computer pre-programs a whole slew of movements, and then it's just going to follow that pre-programmed path. Even if something goes wrong, if you stick your finger in front of it, it's going to keep going. Now, they're not strong enough to hurt you generally, although they could burn you if you touch the wrong spot. You will definitely screw up whatever they're in the middle of printing, because they won't know that they're in the wrong spot. You'll block them, and then they'll be in the wrong spot, and they'll start printing in midair. We call that printing spaghetti. It's probably not going to be something that the average consumer is going to want until they can have a certain amount of AI built into them and some optical sensors so that they can kind of self-correct when something goes wrong with the print. Probably the biggest challenge with them is getting the print to initially adhere to the bed, which is made easier with certain coatings and stuff like that. This one comes with a very nice coating on the bed that works very well. But it does get smooth over time, and then you have to replace it. So there you have it. So where do I get the things that I want to print? Well, the files are called STL files, and the easiest place to find them is going to be thingiverse.com. So you go online and look, there's our flip-flop fixer right there. So you just download the file and try to print it. Except in my case, it didn't print well. It was just, this part right here was just a little too thin, so I had to modify it, which means that I needed some more software. And what I use is Autodesk Inventor. Now, Inventor costs you $2,190 per year for the first, so at least the first year is. I don't know what it is after that. So with $20 worth of plastic that I was going to use to do the printing, this brings my price tag to repair my flip-flop up to $2,836. What a steal! Let me show you Inventor here. So with Inventor, you can import the STL file that we've already had made for us by a nice person on the internet. There it is, and now I can modify it. And then once I'm done modifying it, I save it as an STL again, and then I create the G code that the machine can understand. And I do that through what's called a slicer. Now, it's nice that the slicer, a decent little slicer came with this machine. And what it looks like is this here. And so if I open up my flip-flop saver, bam, you see it's there, but I got to move it around because it can't print in that orientation. And that's where I can set things like a raft or something like that. That's a little plastic piece that it sits on while it's printing.
Ball with the bob, a dang a dang diggy diggy diggy, set the boogie, set up drop the boogie. Ball with the bob, a dang a dang diggy diggy diggy. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
So there you have it, a fixed flip-flop. I mean, look at that, and look at how easy that was. And this could be you. All you need is to invest in a 3D printer and some software and to spend a lot of time learning how to use it. Which brings me to the motto of this show. I know it's controversial, but we're going to talk about it. It's just a logical deduction. And that is that if it's worth doing, it's worth half-assing. And you say, but wait, I've always heard if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. You need to think about this for a minute. And so in the interest of explaining this, we're going to appeal to Venn diagrams. This, oh my gosh, you can't even see it. That's not good. I'm going to try that again. This is the set of things that are worth doing well. And then this over here, this is going to be the set of things that are worth half-assing. Half-assing. Right? Notice there's an overlap. This stuff here in the middle, this is the stuff that's worth doing regardless of whether or not you half-ass or whether or not you do it well. It's just worth doing. Now, this stuff over here, this is only worth doing if it's doing well, if you're doing it well. An example of that might be manned space travel. Nobody wants to half-ass manned space travel. This over here is the set of things that are worth half-assing, but maybe not doing well. Like, for instance, repairing a flip-flop. This stuff in the middle, though, this is stuff that's worth doing without qualification. Period, it's just worth doing it. And notice that all of this stuff is also worth half-assing. There you have it. The Venn diagram has proven my point. If it's worth doing, it's worth half-assing. See you next time.